Welcome back. We're joined in this segment by a good friend of mine and a good friend of Todd's, Dominic Keating, who is the vice chairman, is that it, of the Lackawanna Rail Authority? All right. Dominic is probably the authority on rails to trails and railroading in Northeast Pennsylvania, and the guy that I go to whenever I have questions concerning rail travel. Dominic, welcome this morning.
It's great to be here with you, Jerry.
We are on a car right now headed from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. Tell our audience about this car.
Well, we are on a very beautiful Pullman car called the Warrior Ridge. We just crossed over the Susquehanna River, which, as we all know, comes through our beautiful Wyoming Valley on its way down here. And we're going into Havre de Grace, Maryland, right now at this moment. So Warrior Ridge was built by the Pullman Company in 1951 for the Southern Pacific Railroad, and it starred on the beautiful train, the Sunset Limited, between Chicago and Los Angeles.
Now this car is a restored car, correct?
It is, and thanks to Mr. Bennett, Levin, whose hospitality we're enjoying here this afternoon, it probably wasn't this nice when it was built. There were many additional features placed on the car so that the riders of today, and I thought myself very fortunate to be riding with it, Jerry and Todd, really can enjoy rail travel at its zenith in the 1950s.
Let's talk about that. You are truly a person who loves to ride by the rails. Tell our audience why. What is it what's the lure that brings you to this type of travel?
Well, that's a great question to answer. I think it's the chance to see America that brings you back time and time again to railroad trips and wants to make you go places in our great country that you haven't been before. You get a different view of America from a train. It's certainly not the homogenized view of America you get from an interstate highway, or the rather elitist view of America you get from an airport.
Now the interesting thing about this is as you said, we are not traveling along any highways. We're kind of in the byways, and
you know, when people talk about the megalopolis between the nation's capital and Boston, they don't think of Maryland as being a rural, isolated zone, and yet here we are in a beautiful part of Maryland that is really not filled up and overpopulated.
We're almost traveling through people's backyards.
We are, and they're very used to seeing passenger trains here. But what we want to have, Jerry, is people in our area see passenger trains come on a regular basis again.
Which is what I wanted to bring you to, and that is this proposal of rail travel between Scranton and Hoboken, New Jersey.
Right. It's a long overdue project. One thing I can't do is tell our citizens up there when we're going to be able to institute this train service, but can say that an Obama presidency is going to make it happen, and that's one reason we're riding in joy to the nation's capital today.
I'm here now with a guy that made this trip possible, a great rail enthusiast and a truly tremendous friend of the people of the city of Scranton. You bring your cars up to Steamtown and entertain us with them and the history behind the rail cars. Mr. Bennett, Levin. Bennett, thank you for this. This has been absolutely terrific. Tell us a little bit about the Pennsylvanian.
This car was built in 1928 for the president of the Pennsylvania Railroad. It was rebuilt in 1952. My son and I bought it in 85. This is the car that carried Robert Kennedy's body when he was assassinated, took the body from New York to Washington for burial in Arlington. The car's taken John Kennedy twice to the Army-Navy game. Most recently, my wife and I and my son Eric have used the car to take Prince Charles and Camilla from Philadelphia to New York. And of course, we take the wounded kids from Walter Reed and Bethesda to the Army-Navy game when it's played in Philadelphia.
That's terrific. And you have such an enthusiasm about railroading and these beautiful Pullman cars that have been abandoned for years now by so many. You've done such a good job. We're excited in Scranton about the possibility of rail traffic from Scranton to Hoboken once again, travel the line of the old Phoebe Snow. Do you think it's going to happen for us?
I think it's definitely going to happen. And the interesting thing is, I was born in Jersey City, and I remember as a child visiting my grandmother and going to the Lackawanna Terminal in Hoboken and seeing the trains going to Scranton. So I think it's going to happen. I think rail travel will become an imperative once the public understands that it's comfortable and dependable and non-intrusive. So I think there's a future for it. I think the line to Scranton is an absolute natural.
You know, I have the opportunity to travel Europe. I was in Africa. Rail travel everywhere else in the world has made such a resurgence, and we've had such a struggle in this country. Do you think we're going to be able to, with the new administration, really get Amtrak up and moving so that we're going to see some expansion of rails?
Yeah, I think that the advent of the $5 gasoline, and even though it's gone away, the public now has a taste that it could come back. And with the economic problems that we're having, people have to modify their habits. And one of the largest consumer of your disposable dollars is transportation. And rail transportation, if it is clean, dependable, non-intrusive, non-threatening, will absolutely be in the forefront because we can't build any more highways. There's no more room on the runways. And frankly, you go to an airport today. I used to fly 3 days a week on business, and it's just not the same. It's really a trauma to go to the airport today. So there is a market for this, especially in the corridors.
I travel to Washington probably 10 to 15 times a year. Used to always fly.
Right.
Now I have somebody drive me down to the 30th Street station, hop on the Acela, and you're there in no time.
You're there in no time.
And it's a comfortable, wonderful way to travel. And the trains are so dependable today. I mean, we left at 2:15. We're here at 4 o'clock.
The interesting thing is that the line from Scranton to Hoboken has such great potential because once you get into New Jersey, you got 30 miles of no grade crossings. It was built by the Lackawanna as a high-speed, low-grade railroad. And it's just wonderful to see that there's interest in bringing it back. Now it needs political will. In other words, a lot of the things that politicians talk about have to now come to reality.